PSA. If you are trying to join the Army, the 09 Mike program now is only accepting, I have right here, 24 to 30 in the ASVAB. If you're trying to go to 09 Mike and you have anything less than a 24, you will have to retest. Also, high school seniors are no longer eligible to do 09 Mike. Then we also have, you cannot do 09 Mike and the ARMS program. The ARMS program is the Army Body Fat program. Basically, if you're within a certain amount of percentage over the Army standard, then they send you to a Army Body Fat program where you will go to lose weight before you go to basic training. You cannot do the 09 Mike and ARMS, one or the other. And then the last thing is, if you have a major misconduct, this is for my people with moral. If you have a major misconduct, you cannot be in the 09 Mike program. So make sure that you send this to your friends who are trying to join the Army. If you're trying to join the Army, that right now, what I'm saying, you might have to retest. But that's okay. Continue to study with your journey. It's still possible, but the Army has changed the 09 Mike program, which the 09 Mike program, it can change at any day. Literally at a moment's notice, because this program is giving people the opportunity who, if without this program, they would not qualify to join the Army at that time. However, they made this program to help people who are not qualified in order to be able to join. So if you fall in any of that, it's okay. You can still get there. You can still join the Army. You just have to adjust. It's a journey, okay? But yeah, that's everything for today. Bye, y'all.
All right, what up, y'all? Hemingway checking in, and I am still at it. So, the 09 Mike program, that is the Army's delayed entry program, right? Also known as the FSPC program, which is Future Soldier Preparatory Course. So, basically, first and foremost, I went through the FSPC program. She is going over the new updates to the 09 Mike program. And by the way, that is Army Recruiter Scott. I found her video on Instagram back in June, and I just never got around to making a video about it. But I have not found a TikTok, so I don't know if she has a TikTok. If she do, it's not by the same name. But yeah, y'all go follow her on Instagram. She seems like she's putting out some dope information as far as what's going on, updates in the Army, stuff like that from the recruiter standpoint or POV. But with all that being said, it's the Army's delayed entry program. So me, real quick, my story was I thought about joining the Army forever. By the time I got to right at 30, I thought about it basically every year right up until 33. And then when I finally decided to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do it, I had somebody that I knew that was enlisted, just so happened to message them and kind of, just kind of talking, whatever, catching up. And I was like, yo, you still enlisted? And then they were like, yeah. So they said I could put you on my recruiter. They put me on the recruiter. I decided to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm serious this time. I'm going for it. So once I did, got with the recruiter, set me up to take my PODCAT. I took my PODCAT, had a passing score, and from what I understood at the time, I was supposed to take my PODCAT and go in and find a job, because the PODCAT still basically counted as a score for me to pass and receive a job. For whatever reason, that wasn't the case. I later found out that the recruiter was supposed to sign off on something for me to do that. Didn't do that. Went in there, took the ASVAB again that same day. So I took the PODCAT in the morning, took the ASVAB in the afternoon. I was up early dealing with family stuff, was sleepy. I had a low score, right? So what he told me was, look, we can go ahead and we can still get you in. We can still go ahead and send you off, but that score that you got is not going to be accepted. However, we can put you through this program called the 09 Mike program. So I was like, all right, what's that? He was like, it's a delayed entry program. Basically, if you want to go in and you want to, if you had a score that's not accepted, you can retest. If you had a score that's not too low and you want a certain MOS, you can retest. Or if you had a certain weight issue, you can go through that program as well, and they can help you out on that side. So I say, you know what, now that I actually really want to go, just send me through the program. I'm gonna go through that. That way I'm enlisted. I go through reception and all that. I'm already enlisted. I'm already making money as a soldier, and I'm on base. But I'm just going through this program first. So what that program is FSPC is the umbrella. The arm side is strictly for the weight. I don't know the acronym, but it's got something to do with, it's basically the weight program. So if you are, a little bigger, you need to drop 5, 10, 20 pounds, whatever, you will be enrolled in FSPC, and then you will go straight to the arm side. If it's strictly for ASVAB, then that's the part that's essentially considered 09 Mike or whatever, and you will go straight into testing and or going to preparation for testing so that you can retest and take your ASVAB and find a new job, negotiate, and get out of the program. I don't know all the details that might have changed because she spoke on a few of them, but a year ago in October 1st, 2024, when I enlisted, it was a 3-week program on the ASVAB side, and you take classes that prep you for the sections of the ASVAB that you need, and they give you basically 2 weeks to school up, and then 2.5 weeks, and then that 3rd week you test out, you renegotiate, and then you get your ship date. As long as you pass, more than likely, depending on your MOS, most people went to basic right there at Fort Jackson. Some people went to basic other places depending on the MOS. At that time, the only place that had the program was Fort Jackson, and it had been there for a few years, since like 2021 or 2022. But then, from what I heard, it was being spread out to Fort Benning and Fort Leonard Wood. I think last time I heard, that was like the rumblings that I was getting from my drill sergeants there and the NCOs there and everything like that. The pros to it: you still get a chance to come in. You enlist. You're already being treated somewhat as a trainee, so you're already getting a bit of the feel of what Army may or may not be like. The cons to it, and let me stick with the pros, because you're learning. You're coming in. You're doing that first. I forget what it's called. The first 100 meters or whatever. You're doing you're coming. You're getting dropped off the bus. They're yelling at you. You're carrying your duffel. You're going. You're meeting your drill sergeants. They're doing their introduction. You're picking up the MREs and the bags and the water jugs, and you're running around the track or whatever, right? However, each base has a setup, but you're doing your first 100 yards, 100 meters, whatever it is. You're learning the basic customs and courtesies. They are going to get on you about addressing drill sergeants, addressing officers, understanding what the soldier's creed is, and knowing basic knowledge. So you already start to learn some of that stuff before you get to basic. So by the time you get to basic, you are going to be a little bit knowledgeable about the Army and how it kind of functions, versus somebody who's coming straight in, goes to reception, goes straight to basic training. They're learning all that stuff there. So that's some of the pros, right? The cons is essentially, right, like you're going through basic kind of twice to a degree, right? Because there are drill sergeants, you are a trainee, they are going to be on you. You do got to go into DFAC and, heels together, all that. You still going to get that first day in the DFAC. They're getting on you and they barking on you about, traits of the food, heels together, all that good stuff, right? The only other thing I would say is really a con, in my opinion, right? One, be careful, because it is possible that though y'all do light PT, I've heard of a lot more injuries in the 09 Mike program than what they prefer, including myself. I actually had a hip fracture in that program. Didn't do nothing but run. But at that time, long story short, I ended up having a low bone density or whatever. Like for a while, I'm still lactose. For a while, I was vegan. Didn't have enough calcium in my body, vitamin D, stuff like that. So I had to fix it on the back end. I immediately thought like, damn, am I really just too old to be here? That wasn't the case. So, that I was happy about that when I realized what it was. But because of my diet and stuff like that, I just had, I had low bone density, had a hip fracture, found out that hip fractures were very common, and stress fractures were very common in the Army, but definitely in that program. Hip fractures, whatever, ankle fractures, all type of stress fractures, right? But that is a con. And also, the biggest thing is the program is going to, unless you just have a 70, 80, 90, whatever, you're going to be offered the jobs that are needed to be filled on the demand of the Army first. Now, there's going to be some jobs that are all open and scattered, and it depends on, you know, the time of the year and what's going on. And, you know, like the end of the year, I came in October, so by the time I was done, certain jobs opened back up because it was getting close to the end of the fiscal year, all that good stuff. But you're, for the most part, depending on your score, you're going to 9 times out of 10 be offered a job that's going to be demands of the Army. Now, that's still going to get you in, but it depends on what your goal is, what your plan is, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. If you're younger than 25, it's probably not that bad. If you're older than 25, definitely if you're older than 30, it just all depends on what you planned on doing. I had a few jobs that I could have took. I decided to go ADA. I thought it was going to have some other stuff entitled, I thought that job was going to entail some different things. I found out otherwise later because I was a 14 uniform, which means they pick the job for you in the list of jobs you can have under that umbrella, Air Defense Artillery. But it is what it is. I'm here now. I ain't complaining. When I was there, they had, you know, kids straight out of high school, 17-year-olds, stuff like that. Like she just said, they're no longer taking high school seniors certain things. There's those changes that she mentioned, I'm sure are implemented now, but that thing changes frequently. It changed a lot when I was there. So just understand that it's an ever-changing program. It's actually been a program before. They just kind of put a new ribbon and bow on it and tied 2 parts together. But the 09 program isn't bad if you're trying to get in. Just whether it's 09, basic training, whatever, make sure you have a plan, you have a goal, and don't get discouraged from what you're trying to accomplish when you enlist.